Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
Even today when I see it, it's still hard to see. I think it'll be with us for a while yet.
Caught on camera. For the first time, we see video of an Indigenous man and his granddaughter being wrongfully arrested at a BMO in Vancouver. Also,
it's completely counterproductive in my mind for the VSB to be taking these programs away.
Why honors programs are being phased out at some high schools, and
it's tough to date when you're me and you look like Albanian Santa Claus.
To put it bluntly, the pandemic has decimated comedy in Vancouver.
Fears the Vancouver stand-up comedy scene may be hard to recover.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. For the first time tonight, we're seeing video of an Indigenous man and his 12-year-old granddaughter handcuffed after trying to open an account at a Bank of Montreal in Vancouver. We first brought you this story in 2019, but as Michelle Gassoub reports, now the Union of BC Indian Chiefs is applying to intervene in the case.
A 12-year-old girl in handcuffs, all for trying to open a bank account. New video shows her separated from her grandfather, handcuffed and searched.
Because he was crying, that was one of the hardest things to see. 12-year-old being handcuffed.
Now the Union of BC Indian Chiefs is getting involved, applying to intervene in the BC Human Rights Tribunal case that Johnson filed against Vancouver police. Former Judge Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond is leading the charge.
How is it possible that Indigenous, Black, and people of color carrying out ordinary lives end up in handcuffs? Why is it necessary to even be in handcuffs?
Vancouver Police Chief Adam Palmer has said in the past allegations of systemic racism in the force are wrong and offensive. Today, VPD declined to comment.
And then to say that racism is not involved strains credibility at the deepest level to say that. But also the Union of British Columbia Indian Chiefs, on behalf of Grand Chief Stuart Phillip, will forcibly push back on the argument that the Vancouver Police Department is colorblind and is adequately trained and deployed to treat Indigenous and Black people with respect.
Vancouver Police has said the incident was regrettable and it has launched a police review. But Grand Chief Stuart Phillip wants to see real consequences and reform.
It will change the juvenile cowboy racist attitudes of police officers on the street. And only then will we see a drop in these terrible abuses.
Johnson says to this day he's traumatized by what happened.
My anxiety went back up, and now my granddaughter has anxiety. She's under doctor's care.
A grandfather's hope that showing this video will prevent the handcuffing of another child. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
The chief of the Tecumloops Teshkwetmik First Nation thanked supporters today for what she describes as a frankly overwhelming outpouring of care after the discovery of children's remains at a former residential school near Kamloops. But as the grieving continues, the province's First Nations Health Authority is now asking that travel to Kamloops slow down with pandemic safety in mind.
Smaller gatherings in your own community to honor those who have been lost and those who are hurting is just as effective. Maybe not quite as powerful as gatherings of thousands, but certainly safer and more intimate.
She asks the community be allowed space and a slower pace to mourn. COVID-19 is still active in the region, and the First Nation is just getting second doses of the vaccine. Here in Vancouver, the Aboriginal Front Door Society hosted a gathering to honor the discovery in Kamloops with the support of the Archbishop. They met on the steps of the St. James Anglican Church as the bells rang 215 times.
We want to heal. It's so time to heal right now and to unite. There's no more time for racists or fighting. We need to come together. And this is our first steps of doing it.
She says churches around the continent are invited to ring their bells 215 times as a gesture of reconciliation. After the body of a former outreach worker was discovered in downtown Nanaimo earlier this month, police are now treating her death as a homicide.
I want people to know that Amy was an amazing, strong, courageous, beautiful soul. She was loved. She was loved by her family. Her grandpa was one of her best friends.
The family of 27-year-old Amy Watts reported her missing in late May. Her body was found a week later in a steep wooded ravine. Mounties say they're actively pursuing all investigative steps. No suspects have been identified and no arrests have been made. A memorial for Watts is planned for tonight in Nanaimo. Well, kids who excel in math and science will soon see their honors programs phased out of high schools in Vancouver. The board worries the accelerated courses are leading to inequity, but as Joel Ballard reports, the decision is not a popular one with some students and parents.
In elementary school, I wasn't what we'd call a model student.
Stephen Kosar wasn't a bad student. He just wasn't engaged until he joined the honors program.
At the point I was in high school, I actually flourished. I actually took pride in my work and I actually learned something.
But the Vancouver School Board says the courses make things unequal between students, so it's phasing them out. Kosar's mother, who also went through honors programs, argues they create opportunity, not exclusion.
Because of those opportunities in high school, which incidentally were at Hamburg, I was able to be where I am today.
She now works as a dentist, but doubts that would have happened without honors.
I know other families may have the advantage of being able to provide extracurricular activities or extra tutoring to their students if they want to help their kids achieve their full potential. But my socioeconomic background when I was growing up didn't allow me to do that.
Mark Rudolph has 3 kids, one in the honors program.
You know, some kids are good at math and science and enjoy it, and some kids aren't. So I don't know why the intention is to say everybody must be lumped in together in one big group.
The school board declined an interview, but says students will still be able to learn at a level that challenges them and allows them to explore their potential. Instead of honors programs, teachers will support the diverse needs of students individually. But that's a big task, according to teachers.
Differentiated instruction is rather aspirational and works best with small groups.
And she says class sizes of 30 students is the norm.
I think teachers end up having to be realistic about what they can achieve, and sort of teaching up the middle is a reality for many classrooms.
Honors courses will be gone by the end of next year. Some argue next time a decision is made about the future of students, that decision should include conversations with actual students. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Commercial truck drivers are lining up for a 2-day pop-up vaccination clinic. The message is clear. Pull up the rig and roll up your sleeves.
So this is pretty easy, I think, yeah, and really easy and fast, yeah. I really like it.
He sums it up right there. Aiming to reach busy drivers where they work on the road, the clinic is set up along Highway 91 in North Delta and has the support of the BC Trucking Association. No appointments are necessary. The clinic targets people who haven't had their first shot but welcomes drivers ready for their second doses.
They just haven't had the time based upon how busy they have been. So we have tried to make it convenient for them. For some people, they're traveling out of province or out of country working. And so when they've come back into Canada, we've heard that this is convenient for them.
The truck stop pop-up continues tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And BC is reporting 113 new COVID-19 cases and 4 more deaths today. More than 76% of all adults in the province have had at least 1 dose of the COVID vaccine. 710,000 second doses have been administered so far. 134 patients are in hospital. 41 of those are in critical care. Well, a wealthy Vancouver couple who traveled north to get a much sought-after COVID vaccine were in court today. Their punishment, just $2,300. CBC North's Jackie Hong was in court as the couple pleaded guilty to sneaking into the territory and chartering a plane to get to a remote village.
The Bakers should have isolated for 14 days when they arrived in Whitehorse. Instead, they chartered a plane to Beaver Creek, a town of about 90 people near the Alaska border. There, they lied about who they were to take advantage of a mobile vaccination clinic meant for locals, claiming they were local motel workers, then asking for a ride back to the airport after they had gotten their shots. Rod Baker at the time was the CEO and president of a major casino company. Ekaterina Baker is an actress. The couple pulled the stunt in January, but only admitted to it today. The Crown and Defense entered a joint sentencing submission, a $500 fine plus a fee for each charge, the maximum fine allowed under the law. The incident outraged people across Yukon and Canada, but perhaps none more than citizens of White River First Nation. Spokesperson Janet Vandermeer was in court today. She says she would have liked to see jail time for the Bakers and wants to hear apology directly from them. But she says she's also relieved that this chapter is finally over so that the First Nation can move on to more important things. Jackie Hong, CBC News, Whitehorse.
A man in BC's Caribou region captured unusual weather while fishing yesterday. What you're seeing here is a water spout, also known as a tornado over water. Colin Clark took this video on Sulphurous Lake, just outside of 100 Mile House in the Caribou. Another water spout was seen last week off the coast of Vancouver Island. Cool stuff. Yes. We welcome Amy Bell. Amy, how unusual is this? We're seeing this a few times in the past couple
Actually,
weeks.
Environment Canada said they had reports of 3 last week. So typically we see anywhere from 3 to 6 per year across the province, and that's 4 in just a week. So definitely something to keep an eye on. They don't usually cause any issues, though. Something to just be aware of. Taking a look at the rest of the weather, though, things certainly a lot more normal. We're heading into a nice sunny stretch. We're still seeing some showers, though, or heavy rain in some areas of the north, and we will see some showers hitting the north coast tomorrow, but everywhere else across the province is in for a very sunny and warm stretch. Kicked off this afternoon, and it is going to stick with us for the next several days with that heat just improving and building on itself every day. So for tomorrow, we're going to see temperature around 21 and then slightly warmer for Friday and Saturday. Keep in mind, these are the temperatures near the water. It will be much warmer as you head in towards the Fraser Valley. And by the end of the weekend, I think we're going to hit the mid to high 20 mark in the Abbotsford and Hope area. So we'll keep an eye on things.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Well, the pandemic has meant the shuttering of the last dedicated comedy club in Vancouver. And with the city being the birthplace of so many award-winning stand-up comedians, there's concern it could fall off the map with no place for amateurs to hone their craft. I spoke with some in the industry.
I have never been in a fight, and I think it's because I look like I press charges, you know, like...
Once a thriving scene.
The pandemic has decimated comedy in Vancouver.
Now, no place for amateur comedians to practice their skills.
That stunts development quite a bit.
And Vancouver has a history of producing some great acts. The Juno for Comedy Album of the Year has been won by a local 3 out of the last 4 years.
Come in, open your mouth, we're gonna throw food at your face.
Ivan Decker in 2018.
Have you guys been cheated on?
Sophie Buddle in 2019.
I am Jewish and my girlfriend is not, which is legal.
And Jacob Samuel this year. Those performers, like most, used the amateur feeding system that both Vancouver's Yuck Yucks and the Comedy Mix had.
Where you come in on amateur night and you go up to showcase night and then you do special guest spots on weekends. And without that, your reach as a performer to the public, your target audience, is gone.
Susie Rossum organizes comedy nights around the city and says a lot of money has also been lost.
When you have a live in-person event, you are charging per person. So, you know, we're making between $12 and $20 per ticket. And then when you do an online event, you're doing it more like per household.
Most households only willing to pay between $5 and $10 per ticket for an online show.
The way forward right now is for people to do these independent shows until somebody steps up and financially invests in an actual real comedy club, which hopefully that'll happen in 2022 because I can't foresee anybody taking the risk right now.
Both are confident comedy clubs will come back to the city, and when they do,
the energy is going to be electric, which means you can really do no wrong.
The hope is it won't be too late and Vancouver's up-and-coming comedians will get their shot. Definitely looking forward to some live comedy sometime soon. Okay, so during the NHL playoffs on CBC, we just want to remind you of how and where you can watch this show. We'll be on every weekday at 6 p.m. online, streaming on CBC Gem, YouTube, and Facebook, and then we'll be on TV after the hockey game each evening. Those times will vary depending on when the game starts and when it ends. You can always watch our show on demand, streaming at our website, cbc.ca/BC. Well, she's not running again, but she had some final parting words for her parliamentary colleagues. The Nunavut MP who didn't hold back. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. While Pride Month celebrations this June won't take over Toronto's or Vancouver's streets as they normally do, organizers in Toronto still have a lot in store, including the first winner of Canada's drag race as host for the Digital Pride Parade. Talia Ritchie spoke to her about how she plans to make the 40th anniversary a memorable moment.
Happy Pride.
Wow.
First of all.
Happy Pride to you and yours and your family and your lover and all of Toronto.
Thank you so much. So tell me about some of the ways you'll be celebrating Pride this month.
Oh, I'm celebrating Pride by looking for a boyfriend, and I'm celebrating Pride by hosting the 40th anniversary of the Toronto Pride Parade and also launching this incredible program called the Visibility Project, where I get to be the fairy godmother for artists all across Canada.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's honestly so iconic and amazing that I'm able to do this. There are so many great queer artists all over Canada, and that they want their dreams to come true, and they just need a little bit of coin to help it come true, and they need somebody like me to come along and help them along the way. And it's like $35,000 in this prize package, and it includes mentorship from me, and now I get to share the love and share the spotlight, which I'm all about.
Oh my God, it's so late. It's been a hot minute, wanna see that face.
And I'm actually releasing an album coming out soon, and all the songs are about boys that I've met in my life. You know, there's something about taking your trauma and turning it into art, and I want kids to know that life experiences are so valuable and representation is so valuable, and if you don't see anybody like you who's currently doing something that you want to do, that's because you're going to be the first person to do it, and that's beautiful.
What does it mean to you to be someone that people are looking up to in that way?
I think it's so important for kids growing up to see somebody like me. There's so much empowerment in what I do, and I love that now drag is normal, and being a brown person and winning such a ginormous prize, Canada's Drag Race first ever drag superstar, is normal. That goes down in history now. And I came out so much later in my life. I'm a new gay, believe it or not. I'm new to the queer community, and I just wish that as a younger kid, I just was more myself, because now I have so much fun being myself, and wish that when I was younger, I was able to be the visibility that I want to be.
For people who might be thinking, another Pride in a pandemic, how would you pump them up for this month?
So we have to just remember why we're celebrating Pride and how important it is, and that it's the 40th anniversary, and 40 isn't a big number to celebrate Pride. It should be thousands of years of Pride, but it's not. So get over it and party.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. On June 23rd, Anita Bathe will moderate a panel of medical experts at UBC Dialogues Medical Innovations. Where is technology leading us? Learn more at alumni.ubc.ca. And June is Filipino Heritage Month, and CBC BC wants to share stories from BC's vibrant Filipino community. If you have a story to tell, head to cbc.ca/mabuhay today.
A speech delivered in the House of Commons is attracting plenty of attention. The farewell speech was delivered by the New Democrat MP for Nunavut, who is Inuk. She said she has been the victim of racial profiling during her time in Ottawa. Olivia Stefanovic has more on what unfolded in the Commons last night.
It has been an honor serving my constituents.
These speeches are usually a chance for departing MPs to fondly reminisce about their time in the House of Commons.
The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
But New Democrat MP Mamila Kakak used her opportunity to deliver a scathing message.
I have never felt safe or protected in my position, especially within the House of Commons.
Kakak says entering the doors of power put her in survival mode, requiring moments to compose herself in the elevator or in the washroom.
I've had security jog after me down hallways, nearly put their hands on me, and racial profile me.
Kakak says she learned to keep her parliamentary badge close so she could quickly prove who she is.
People like me don't belong here in the federal institution. Even if we're told we should run, we still face huge barriers.
Her party's leader is calling for institutional change.
We need to be very vigilant and continue to apply pressure on the House of Commons and Parliament to become a more welcoming space.
For someone to feel unsafe in what should be one of the most secure places in the country because of who she is and what her identity is entirely unacceptable.
Kakak leaves feeling disappointed by a lack of progress on the housing and suicide crises facing Inuit. She calls her choice very personal, and she's not ruling out a future run for the NDP.
I showed youth and Indigenous people that we can be in places, even if we don't feel that they're made for us.
And at age 27, she says there are many paths she's considering to continue her fight for change. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
The inflation rate in Canada has jumped to its highest level in a decade. It hit 3.6% in May. Statistics Canada says the cost of just about everything is going up at a much faster pace than usual. But analysts say this year's numbers are misleading because last year's figures were so low.
Prices a year ago were rock bottom levels as in the throes of the first wave of COVID. Really haven't had that much inflation if you measured prices relative to where they were in the spring of 2019.
Prices for food, energy, and vehicles are all up, while the cost of keeping a roof over your head rose by 4.2% in the last year. The Bank of Canada has forecast higher than normal inflation as the economy reopens, but it expects the increase will be temporary. And U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin have wrapped up their summit in Geneva. The meeting was shorter than expected, and the two leaders held separate news conferences afterwards. Biden called the tone of the session good and positive.
There wasn't any strident action taken. Where we disagreed, I disagreed, stated where it was. Where he disagreed, he stated. But it was not done in a hyperbolic atmosphere. That is too much of what's been going on.
Cyber attacks, nuclear weapons, and human rights were the top items on the agenda. Both leaders agreed to further low-level talks on cybersecurity and arms control. Putin claims most of the cyber attacks in the world are carried out from the cyber realm of the United States, with Canada and Britain and two unnamed Latin American countries also on the list. However, Putin told reporters he believes the two leaders were speaking the same language despite sharp disagreements on a variety of issues. Let's call it a compressed symphony. Along with every other class, Vancouver High School had its music program shortened this academic year. The musical result coming up.
The riots were a disappointing end to a difficult day for the Vancouver Canucks. The team had hoped to win the Stanley Cup in front of a hometown crowd. Today, General Manager Mike Gillis talked about the violence for the first time.
It's so disappointing that that would happen. You know, we had the unfortunate experience of watching it on television with our families, and you know, I came to Vancouver a few years ago, and I love living here. I think the people are tremendous, and I don't think that is reflective of anything that we're about as an organization or our fans or anything about. Those aren't our fans that were doing that.
That sense of disappointment is fueling a spontaneous outpouring that is growing by the hour in Vancouver. People are sharing words of appreciation and remorse for what happened on Wednesday night. Alan Waterman looks at the messages they're leaving for the city and the reaction they're getting.
As soon as the plywood went up, the people came, thousands armed with felt pens, putting down their words of hope over the smashed display windows of Vancouver's downtown Hudson's Bay store.
It helps ease the pain a bit, you know, after the shame and disgust of what happened.
What'd you end up writing?
Real fans don't riot.
It's been dubbed the Great Wall of Vancouver, almost 3 full sides of a city block. And it's instantly become one of the city's major attractions, an attraction that brings the emotions of many to the surface.
This city is better than the hooligans and the people who damaged it, and I feel that the good and the love in people's hearts in this town prevails over the bad.
Nothing can erase what happened on Wednesday night, but I'm just hoping that the rest of the world sees that that wasn't Vancouver.
But even with so much plywood, space is now at a premium, forcing people to find other avenues to express their emotions. Like this police car last night next to the bay, almost buried beneath sticky notes, each one a personal message of thanks to Vancouver Police. Today, in front of police headquarters, the notes kept coming.
I don't know, I just think it's a great tribute to the guys who did all the work out there. I don't know, I'm really emotional. I'm disgusted by what happened in our city, and these guys deserve all the respect.
Eric Karasiotis is one of those guys. He was on the front lines Wednesday night, assigned to the riot squad.
This goes beyond words. I mean, none of us expected to see any of this. I'm sure the first car probably expected, oh, geez, I'm going back to my car, I hope the windows aren't smashed out. Then they see it covered in stickers. It means a lot to us, and I hope everybody out there understands how much it means to us.
And these very public outpourings mean a lot to the Vancouverites who post them. Their way to create something positive out of one negative night. Alan Waterman, CBC News, Vancouver.
Killarney secondary students are making beautiful music despite an unharmonious pandemic school year.
It comes down to being familiar with the piece, grinding out the rhythm, and then, I guess, performing it and refining it. It's that feeling that makes it kind of frustrating, but fun at the same time. Makes it feel like life.
That really is beautiful. Normally, the Killarney Honors Strings Orchestra would take 10 months to hone a symphony, but with COVID, they only had 10 weeks to create a cohesive performance. With the help of filmmaker Jay Fox, the class is sharing their journey online. The Masked Epic web series launched on YouTube this week. Daily shows will run until June 18th. Johanna's off tonight, so we go to Amy Bell for a final check of the weather, and I think things are looking pretty good, aren't they, Amy?
Things are looking very good. We're done with that January weather for now, so things certainly brightened up this afternoon. We are heading into a very sunny and very warm stretch, so everybody that was not pleased with the rain last week is going to be much happier, I think. So tomorrow we will see those temperatures in the low to mid 20s. Just depends how close you are to the water. I should mention at the very northern tip of Vancouver Island, you will see a slight chance of showers as we have a system arriving on the north coast tonight, and that will bring rain there, and we'll just catch that bit of Vancouver Island, but everything else looking very sunny and warm. As I mentioned, for Prince Rupert, you will see some showers tomorrow, and Port Hardy, a bit of a chance of some showers in the morning, and then you too should brighten up. 22 for Williams Lake, Cranbrook at 25, 21 for Prince George, Dees Lake even staying dry with a high of 18. And then as we look towards the next 5 days and even beyond, we are in for sunshine and warm temperatures. So this is good news for the gardens. We are looking at 21 for the high tomorrow, 24 inland, and then the overnight lows around 12 degrees and getting a bit warmer. So we sort of see each day we add a degree or two and we subtract one at night. So we're looking at 22 with that 25 inland on Friday, up to 24 inland on Saturday, 27 for Sunday. And of course, that is the summer solstice, the first official day of summer, Father's Day as well, and 28 inland on Monday. We will start to see things cooling down a little bit for Tuesday and Wednesday, but we're going to stick with the sunshine. So it'll be great for everybody that wants to head outdoors. Just remember the sunscreen because those UV rays will be very strong.
Got it handy. Thanks, Amy.
Well,
and thanks for watching tonight. That ends our show. Dan Burrett is here at 11 o'clock. And we leave you tonight with footage from past years of the Abbotsford Air Show, announcing today it will in fact run this summer on the weekend of August 6th. A little can park and set up chairs outside their cars. A wonderful experience, no doubt.